Plan your next trip with Ride Norfolk. Ride Norfolk operates an on-demand transit service across Norfolk County from Monday to Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Enjoy the podcast today.
Advantage Athletic Therapy, personalized rehabilitation programs with a whole body approach. Enjoy the podcast.
Dave Scott, it's the January 2026 show with Lori from Purposely Unplugged. What a great year last year. Thank you for all the wonderful podcasts. It's nice to see that people are getting what we're talking about and asking questions and sort of, the messages that we try and send out are always positive, and we're trying to help folks figure out life, aren't we?
Absolutely. And I've enjoyed going through my bookshelf. It was a fabulous year. All year, though, Dave, we'd laugh a little bit and say, oh, that's a topic for another podcast. So this year, we're going to dig up all of those topics. And last month, we talked about the book, Breath. And in that book, we kind of giggled a little bit because each of us have had a time in our life where we probably would have benefited from making a change. But we didn't. We're both now at the stage in our life where we did make that change, and we see what that looks like now for us. So today we're going to talk about change, Dave. Folks in our lives that may benefit from change, but they're just not ready.
Okay, my first question on change is, why is it so hard? What stops us? Is it mental? Like, what causes us to go, oh, I'm not ready for that? We delay it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's the stages of change, right? So lots of us live in situations, we make patterns and decisions and choices, and we're unaware that it's even beneficial for us to make change. That's pre-contemplative. We don't even know yet that it would be beneficial for us. I'm a stickler for mugs, and this is one of the ones from Blue Mountain Pottery. So, I'm a stickler for this mug. And it's just the way it is. If someone told me that this was hazardous for my health, I think I'd still kind of use it. So, we're in these stages of patterns and imprinting and what's important to us. And we may not even be ready yet to think about the fact that we need to make a change. That's pre-contemplative.
Wow. So it's kind of like the plan you make and then you never follow through, right? Because you want to get to a certain point to make sure it's okay to do that plan. We're kind of we're intimidated by the go jump off the pier and go for a swim, aren't we? Sometimes, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And it's January, so people are beginning taking the cold plunge this month. So there we go. But that actually is contemplative. When we're aware of something, we begin to think about it. It's on our mind, but we're not ready yet to take the plunge, so to speak. Absolutely. That's contemplative. Good point.
Are we always in search of something better? Like, I think, with change, you're always trying to make yourself a better person, or you're trying to see things in a different light. Can we go a little bit deeper on that one?
Some of us are. I'd argue that some folks, though, Dave, aren't ready for change. Don't even want to think about that. They're not about growth and development. They are very much about what works for them, what's comfortable, what's safe for them. There's another story. So there we go. But some people aren't even aware. When someone does become aware, they are thinking about it, then it is that preparation stage where they start to plan, they start to make small steps, which is what you're talking about. Those are folks that want to grow, develop. Those are folks that want to make a shift. That's the preparation stage, which is around planning, small steps, and beginning to contemplate and think about what it might look like. Some folks want to do this, not everyone. And only 10% of society are really those folks that are changing, moving lives, not only for themselves, but for other people. Most of us are pretty stuck in our safety and our security.
I think you look at it too, at change. I always used to think, I just want things to be normal. Does that make sense? Thinking that normal was just sedative, right? You're just like, oh, everything's on an even plane. Life's not like that. Life is a constant up and down, and you got to learn to go with the flow. So the change is inevitable. It's just preparing yourself to start accepting those changes.
Accepting changes. And what's the new normal? Are we open to the new normal? So the action stage in change is when we do try things. We are actively trying it. I tried curling recently, Dave. I fell twice. I kind of hurt myself, but I'm still doing it. So, and thank you for giggling. I know that's funny, but this action stage is where we're kind of engaged. We're trying, we're doing things. So that takes us out of that comfort zone. That's where we're actually starting the change, when we leave that bit of a comfort zone, safety.
Yeah, because 'cause we're used to it, right? We expect
Mhm,
it. That's what we want.
mhm,
We don't want to be challenged. We don't want
mhm,
that, aspect of our life to change, but it's so important that we do that, right?
mhm.
We talked a little bit off air, and one of the things that you brought up was
Uh-huh.
truth, honesty, and transparency, and I wanna go there. So, lead me into that, will you?
Absolutely. So I always talk with clients because often clients will say, my brother needs to do this, or I'm worried about my mom for this, or I'm worried about my kids because of this. And so the way that I always kind of frame that is we do love the folks in our lives. We may see that there's something beneficial for them. And when we have those conversations in truth and honesty and transparency, then at least the other person can hear it from that sense of curiosity. Not direction, not demanding, not those kinds of directive force in a conversation, but truth, honesty, and transparency.
I think that's a great thing when the way you worded that a little bit too, because
Mhm,
we always think we know better for the next person,
mhm,
right? And
mhm,
sometimes the way we say it is not very nice, or it's not,
mhm,
that gets the other person's ire up before they even hear
mhm.
the end of the conversation. They're like, I'm not doing that, right?
Yeah.
I think we all at some point in our lives are guilty of it a little bit, but it's when you really, I like the transparent, the honesty, because I think when you're trying to be honest with someone
Mhm,
and really want to
mhm,
help them, you want
mhm,
them to feel that emotional tie too, so that you're not doing
mhm,
this to be a mean person, or,
mhm,
you're not doing it to be, "Oh, look at me." It's like, "No, I want you to have this benefit in your life. I think this is
mhm,
important. Would you consider it?" You know what I mean? At
mhm,
least you're
mhm.
I think you brought this up earlier off air, plant the seed, right?
Yeah, that's the quote that started this whole thing. All year in the back of my day timer, I've written down quotes. And this one is: you can't force someone to hear a message they're not ready to receive, but never underestimate the power of planting a seed. And that's where you can plant a seed in truth, honesty, transparency, curiosity. That may be the best way to have those conversations with folks in our lives. And this is a big topic, Dave, because it affects our family, our friends, the people we work with. It affects the folks that are closest to us and that we care about the most.
It's interesting too because you'll see, I mean, I'll deflect and try and use humor. If I'm
Mhm.
trying to get a point across, I may, what I mean, go that route because I don't want to upset somebody, but I want to sort of say, just leave that olive branch right there for you to think about.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because I don't get to choose what you choose and I don't
Right.
lead your life. So I don't know what happens every day in your life. And that's the other part is we get kind of
Mhm.
thinking we know what the other person needs is best, but we really don't know what they're going through. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
We get judgy, don't we, that way?
We do. And the other thing is, we do make some assumptions sometimes. But when we come back to these stages of change, we have to recognize that that person needs to be in the right stage to be able to make any kind of decision that involves change. And you are right. I mean, it's 9 o'clock in the morning and you saw my Diet Coke already, Dave. So that's probably another topic as well, because I've been up for so
Oh
many
boy.
hours doing chores and stuff. But absolutely, that person needs to be in the right position. And if you've spoken to them in truth, honesty, and transparency, then when they are ready, they may come back to you to have that conversation.
Yeah, and it's always an opportunity to open a door is really important
Yeah,
in someone's life. I'm always if sometimes when you're having a conversation, you say to somebody, "Well, how are you today?" I think that's the
yeah,
best thing you can say because then
yeah.
you're inviting a conversation. And,
Hmm.
a lot of people might go down the path of like, "Oh, this day is terrible, blah, blah, blah." And you're like, "Well, tell me something
Hmm.
positive that happened." Or you're trying to
Yeah.
reframe their day for them to get them thinking about those other things that they could do with their life.
And the way this links back to my work, Dave, is maybe someone needs to have a conversation with someone who is not friends, family, coworker, not close to them. And that's where
Oh.
we come in. A big part of my job is just having conversations with people because I'm not linked to their lives in a personal way. Often I hear things from clients for the first time. I'm thinking about, I'm wonder, I'm curious. So perhaps there's someone who may want to reach out to a therapist, a counselor. And if 2026 is the year for change, then find someone you can have those conversations with that are not in your inner circle.
We should, that's a really good point. We didn't even plug you at the start of the show. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's okay.
So what do
Yeah.
you do again? Who are you?
Purposefully Unplugged. I am a therapist. It's a lovely position to be in. And majority of the time, I work off grid, work outside as much as possible. And I do have an internal office in Brantford if someone wants to be inside in a regular environment as well. But I am very lucky to be a therapist, very lucky to be able to work with clients of all ages, including children, and just have these conversations that change people's lives when they're ready to do it at the right time for them.
How long you been doing this now? I never even bothered to
Mm.
ask you that.
I don't know. I think it was 2018, 19, something like that. I've lost
Yeah.
track date. Yeah.
And this, we're getting off track a little bit, but I do now. I'm curious. The personal growth that you've seen for yourself doing this job must be wonderful when you're able to help somebody
Mhm.
realize their potential or get their life back on track. Is that I mean, if you don't mind sharing.
Absolutely. And it's because I do a lot of trauma work, Dave. So I've been able to do that work for myself. Other therapists did it for me so that I can sit with someone and do that work with them. So that is lovely. Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, we were sitting outside in the cabin and the snow was coming down. What a beautiful morning for that person to do that work that they needed to do. Absolutely. My life is tremendously different than it was, but it's put me in an opportunity to provide space and grace for folks to have these difficult conversations.
This is my last little pitch today too. When you just said
Yeah.
that, it brought me back to something that I had read or seen in the last week about society and growing up in the 1970s.
Yeah.
The amount of information we would gather in a week, today's
Mhm.
kids get in one morning. And Purposely
Absolutely.
Unplugged, the idea is to get away from all that
Mhm.
and chat with you and have those opportunities, correct?
Absolutely, because in this location, there's 12 acres of trees. In the summer, we sit outside. In the winter, we're in a cabin. No water, no Wi Fi, no hydro. On purpose. That's why I called myself Purposely Unplugged. But like I said, I do have a traditional office if someone really wants to be inside in a traditional format.
Great topic today, Lori. I can't thank you
Yeah.
enough. I'm looking forward to 2026. And
Hmm.
folks, like Lori, or give her a shout if you need some help. Her number will be at the end of the show today. And thanks for doing this. Take care.
Take care.